Yeah, he did mention the Rugby League result from Sunday. We now come to questions to the Church Commissioners, House of Commons Commission, Public Accounts Committee, Speakers Committee on the Electoral Commission. Can we just let the bench change over? David Jones.
Question 1, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the National Audit Office does have adequate resources to scrutinise the cost of artificial intelligence, and indeed produced a report in March which found that AI presents government with significant opportunities to transform public services, and that the government has identified that artificial intelligence could deliver substantial productivity gains, potentially worth billions.
David Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honourable friend has identified the report in which I am interested, because that report, as he rightly says, I noted the importance of artificial intelligence in delivering transformational public services, but also noted a number of challenges. In the dying embers of this Parliament, would my honourable friend be willing to leave a message for the next chair of the Public Accounts Committee, urging that an inquiry be carried out into that report, because I believe that those findings are of considerable importance.
Richard Bacon.
Mr. Speaker, my right honourable friend is absolutely right. It's an important subject, and the Public Accounts Committee was due to take oral evidence on it on the 17th of June. I will certainly draw to the attention of the new chair of the Public Accounts Committee, when I know who he or she is, my right honourable friend's concerns.
Philip Pulbone.
Ortiz.
How could I miss him?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I thank the honourable gentleman for his response? It is a massive subject and will have to be scrutinised greatly in the next term of government. What assessment has been made on the potential negatives of AI within the defence industry and government, and what steps will be taken to combat this?
I think the short answer, Mr. Speaker, is that there is inadequate awareness inside government, although some awareness, that there are potentially very large negatives for artificial intelligence, and indeed one of the inventors of artificial intelligence has written a book on precisely this subject. So I suspect it's something government will continue to assess.
Philip Pulbone.
Chief, sir.
Richard Bacon. Mr.
Speaker, in its January report, the National Audit Office established that the NHS supply chain has great potential to secure further savings by aggregating the NHS spending power, but that so far it has not yet fulfilled that potential.
Mr. Speaker, in its January report on the NHS supply chain, the National Audit Office made 7 recommendations to improve the efficiency of the NHS's £8 billion annual procurement programme, including the need to improve prices and make ordering as straightforward as possible. Now, the National Audit Office reports twice a year on whether government departments have implemented its recommendations. So will the National Audit Office use this mechanism to monitor NHS supply chain's progress?
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the Controller and Auditor General and his staff at the National Audit Office will want to listen very carefully to what my honourable friend says, although I must tell him that the inability of the NHS to use its huge spending power more successfully on behalf of taxpayers and patients has been a hardy perennial throughout my entire 23 years in Parliament. So while I wish him well in his endeavours, I would advise him not to hold his breath.
Mr. Speaker, it's a little-known fact that in 1979 to 1981 I was a member of the Public Accounts Committee, and I really enjoyed that experience. But this is one of my last questions in the House after nearly 45 years in the House. But could we do more with the incoming new members of Parliament to show them how powerful a body the Public Accounts Committee is, and what an amazing resource it is for members of Parliament to get inquiries, to look at funding, to look at the wide spending of government? Could we have a programme, again, a note on the desk, teaching new members how important this national treasure is?
Well, Mr. Speaker, having spent 16 years on the Public Accounts Committee, I completely agree with what the honourable gentleman says, it is, in my view, one of the best places to spend one's time as a parliamentarian, checking that our taxpayers' constituents, that our constituents' money as taxpayers is safeguarded and well looked after by whichever government of the day happens temporarily to be in office. So I commend what he said to everyone.
Elaine Saxby.
Question 3, please, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I can tell my honourable friend that the Church Commissioners are bringing forward substantial new amounts of housing across England, including affordable homes in accordance with local planning policy in the areas concerned. And where the Commissioners are able to, we also seek to go further, for example, through the use of rural exception sites to provide a higher proportion of affordable housing than the local plan requires.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my honourable friend for his response. But I wonder, affordable housing is such a particular concern across North Devon. Is there any more the Church may be able to do to assist?
Andrew Slow.
I know what a great champion my honourable friend is of this issue, and unfortunately the Church Commissioners don't themselves have any land in North Devon that is being considered for housing at the moment. But I am going to put my honourable friend in touch with the Diocese of Exeter to see whether they have other opportunities within their own land portfolio, because, as I said at the beginning, I know what a big issue this is in North Devon, and I know how passionately my honourable friend has been working on this issue and how important it is for her, so we will do what we can to help.
Ken Foster.
Question number 4, please, Mr. Speaker.
Andrew Slow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. During an interregnum, a diocese will usually arrange for clergy in neighbouring parishes and across the local deanery to take services and to be available to support the church wardens and parochial church council. And it's really important that these local volunteers are well supported during an interregnum when they are lacking the visible and present leadership of a parish priest.
Ken Foster.
Thank my honourable friend for his answer. He will know the combined parishes of St Paul's and Christchurch serve a large part of Paynton but are currently in interregnum. During interregnums, as he outlined, lay ministers and church wardens have to step forward. So what extra support does the Church make available to them whilst they do this?
Well, I'm grateful to my honourable friend, and it's typical of him to take this level of interest in his clergy and churches, as I know he does on a regular basis. And I can tell him that the Diocese of Exeter has produced a guide to help church wardens and the parochial church council, and there's clearly a duty of pastoral care owed to all of those who are keeping the church going in the absence of a minister. But I think that the best help that Christchurch and St Paul's Paynton can receive is for this vacancy to be really well advertised. And doing a little bit of research on this church, I can see that the new incumbent would inherit a dynamic worshipping congregation on the beautiful English Riviera, and I'm pleased to be able to provide some free advertising for this tremendous opportunity, and I hope that parish priests looking for an exciting new opportunity will be flocking to Christchurch and St Paul's Paynton to take up this opportunity.
Martin Vickers.
Number 5, Mr. Speaker.
Andrew Slow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Church of England educates more than 1 million children in its 4,700 schools in England. And my honourable friend must be particularly proud of the fact that all of the Church of England schools in his constituency are currently rated good by Ofsted.
Martin Vickers.
I recently visited 3 of the church schools in my Cleethorpes constituency and was impressed by how they are influenced by their connections with the church. The New Holland Primary School website says that as a church school, New Holland Primary seeks to live out the church's philosophy of valuing all God's children, paying particular attention to the Christian vision, looking forward with hope, flourishing, doing all the good we can, and staying true to our core Christian values. Would my honourable friend agree that these words exemplify the values of church schools and what they can bring to their local communities?
Well, the fact that the New Holland Primary School, which my honourable friend has visited, and the other 2 as well, are rated good, as indeed all the others are, shows that these schools don't just provide excellent teaching, which is really appreciated by parents, and they are generally oversubscribed, these schools, but they also provide a really caring and nurturing environment, as my honourable friend quite rightly says, And that is really well encapsulated by the values of the New Holland Primary School, which he has read out to the House just now. And I'm very grateful to him for highlighting their excellent record. I think we'd all like to pass on our thanks to those, that school and the other ones.
Danny Krug.
Number 6, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Parish ministry is at the very heart of all the Church of England does. And between 2023 and 2025, the Church Commissioners are distributing £1.2 billion to support our mission and ministry. And I can tell my honourable friend that this is a 30% increase on the previous 3-year period, and the lion's share of that funding goes to dioceses to strengthen and grow local ministry in parishes and worshipping communities. And in addition, the Commissioners wish to maintain this level of funding over the next 6 years, so that would be £3.6 billion, which will be distributed between 2023 and 2031.
I'm very grateful for that very encouraging information, and may I pay tribute to my honourable friend for the work that he has done during this Parliament on behalf of the Church Commission. He's been unfailingly assiduous and courteous, almost holy, in his conduct of his work on behalf of the Church. Does he share my concern about the forced amalgamation of parishes that many dioceses across the country are undertaking? Vibrant and viable local churches in dioceses like Liverpool and elsewhere are being offered the invidious choice of either surrendering their autonomy to become part of new mega parishes or giving up access to resources from the centre, resources which they themselves contribute to the centre. As he says and implies, surely the whole value of the Church of England is in the local parish system, not in its regional bureaucracies. And can he tell the House how the Church of England will continue to ensure the integrity of our parish system?
Andrew Sellew.
I'm grateful to my honourable friend, and he is right to highlight to the House that there are pressures indeed in some areas. And he's also right to point out that parish network across the whole of England, across every one of our constituencies in England, is extremely precious. And we must do everything we can to preserve it. And I can tell him that at every opportunity I make that point. I know that many members of Parliament, like my honourable friend, make that point regularly, and that message has been heard at the top of the church, which is why we are putting the vast majority of our funding back down into parishes. And of course we're also encouraging parishes to do what they can to raise money at the local level. But he's absolutely right in the point he makes.
George Galloway. Not here. Chiamwara.
Number 8, Mr. Speaker. I saw him having breakfast.
Charles, I'm sorry you're stepping down. Can I thank you for all what you've done? You've been a wonderful servant of this House, and thank you for everything and your service on the Commission. Sir Charles Walker.
Well, Mr. Speaker, thank you for that, and it's been a great privilege to serve with you on the Commission. It's been such an honour to be in this amazing institution and serve my country in the way that I have, and with wonderful people here. Gosh, I wasn't going to get sentimental. Right. Since my last answer on this issue in February 2024, the Parliamentary Digital Service has been assessing Microsoft's generative AI toolset, Copilot, which includes AI for mailboxes. This tool will aid members and staff in their management of day-to-day administrative activities across Microsoft 365 applications. PDS are conducting further necessary technical work, and it is expected that a trial of the new capability will start with members before the end of the year. I'm not sure if it's Nokia compatible, but if it is, I hope it can be put on my Nokia.
Brings a tear to
Mr. Speaker, can I echo your tribute to the honourable member and his service on the House of Commons Commission and his engagement with me on this subject on many occasions. And Mr. Speaker, during the dark days of COVID, when many did not believe that a digital parliament was possible and some did not want the continued scrutiny, you and I and the House officials and digital services worked together to move Parliament online over the course of just one recess. An immense achievement, and I'd like to pay tribute to you and to digital services for that. and to ask the honourable member if he agrees that while certainly on this side of the House we will be campaigning for the change Britain so desperately needs, digital services will be working to ensure that AI, open source, cloud and all the other digital innovations are at the disposition of the members of the new Parliament to support them in their work.
Can I say to the honourable member, PDS, the security services are working really hard to make sure that the House gets it right. There is so much opportunity presented in AI that, given the sensitive and important positions we hold and future colleagues will hold, we have to make sure we get it right so we're advantaging our constituents and not our enemies.
So Desmond Swayne.
Answer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Church of England is already the biggest provider of academies in England, with 1,770 academies and 280 multi-academy trusts. Each diocese across England will have its own academisation plans, and these schools include pupils of all faiths and none, and are committed to serving the whole community.
So, growing need for special education, particularly in the New Forest. What can the Church do to assist in my constituency?
Very grateful to my honourable friend who's had a long-standing interest in these and other church matters. And he's right in what he says, because with 2/3 of special schools at or over capacity, the recent decision to allow faith education providers to run special schools will enable the Church of England to alleviate some of those pressures and give families more choice and opportunity in the New Forest as well as across the whole of England. And what I would say is that our strong ethos of community care makes our schools well suited to providing a nurturing environment for all children with special educational needs.
Rachel Maskell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Number 10, please.
Mr. Speaker, the Church of England calls for the immediate release of the hostages in Gaza and an end to the fighting, which has caused the loss of so many lives and caused so much suffering to the Palestinians. The Diocese of Jerusalem and the Worldwide Anglican Communion to continue to support financially the Al-Ahli Anglican Hospital in Gaza City, which I know from the Diocese of Jerusalem Synod last week is still operating with the wonderful medics who are in it and is still providing care.
Rachel Maskell.
Thank him for his answer. And of course, when Parliament won't be sitting, we know the horrendous situation in Gaza ensues. And it is really important that we put the focus on those institutions which can make interventions over the next few weeks. And therefore, I ask him how the Church of England is using its soft power, its leverage, in order to bring peace and justice to the region, and in particular to the people of Gaza.
Andrew Slow.
Well, I thank the honourable lady for her very pertinent and important question. She will know that the Archbishop of Canterbury himself went out to the Holy Land just after October the 7th. I can tell her that the Bishop of Chelmsford was there very recently. The Bishop of Southwark is also a frequent visitor. And the Worldwide Anglican Communion, as well as the Church of England, will absolutely continue to play its part to bring peace and justice to this terrible conflict which has gone on for far too long.
Graham.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member will know that the Diocese of Gloucester has been very supportive of those in need, whether asylum seekers, refugees, or indeed the homeless and rough sleepers in our city of Gloucester. And will he therefore join me in congratulating them that the planning approval for the first modular housing in Gloucester should go through Gloucester City Council imminently for their 6 modular homes, and that there will be more coming soon which will be able to help people in need?
I think also, and the help that Gloucester's Cathedral has given to the people of Gaza. Andrew Slow.
Well, I'm very grateful to my honourable friend, and he is right that both in Gaza and Gloucester there is absolutely the need for significant reconstruction. And I know that he has been a long-term advocate in Gloucester, and I commend the work he has done with the Bishop of Gloucester. And of course there will be massive need for reconstruction in Gaza, which we all want to see.
Thank you. Adrian.
11, Mr. Speaker.
Rachel Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The committee has had recent discussions with the Electoral Commission on the matters raised. The Commission recognises the risk posed to the integrity of elections by dis- and misinformation and is contributing to efforts across the public sector, including other regulators and government, to guard against negative impacts. The legal regime the Commission regulates is focused on ensuring that political finance is transparent and that campaigner materials include an imprint showing voters who has produced the material. It does not have a role in regulating the content of election campaign material, but encourages all campaigners to undertake their role responsibly and transparently.
Deirdre Brock.
Yeah, Mr Speaker, but we've heard there'll be a lot of attempted disinformation around the US presidential elections in the coming months. What assessment has the Electoral Commission actually made of the risks of holding a UK general election at a time when there will be a greatly increased risk of hostile disinformation campaigns, such as what appears to be grassroots Facebook groups on low emission zones recently exposed as being set up by Conservative staff members?
Rachel Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As I said, the Commission's role is to ensure the financing of campaigns is transparent. It does not have a role in regulating the content of election campaign material, such as preventing the use of deep fakes. The Commission has highlighted that if additional regulatory responsibility for campaign material were given to a UK regulator, these powers would need careful consideration. Regulating the content of campaign material would require a new legal framework. The Commission does not have any experience or expertise of such a framework and believes such work would be better managed by other organisations.
Right, that completes